and welcome back to the Misty Morrison Podcast. This is episode 39 of Petty Please. Here on the Misty Morrison Podcast, we love to judge, we love to give advice, we love to help people look back at their own stories with 2020 vision and see how they could have handled the situation more gracefully. Before we get into our stories for the day, our usual housekeeping, whether you are new or returning, please remember to engage with the content to help the channel grow. Whether you are listening on podcast, watching on YouTube, watching shorts on YouTube, TikTok, Reels on Instagram or Facebook, please remember to engage with the content to help the channel grow. Rate, review, like, subscribe, share it with a friend, comment with your thoughts on the stories down below. All the things. I post every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I post shorts every single day, 6 a.m., 6 p.m. Long form is between 20 and 30 minutes for every episode on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Post everywhere that podcast is available and video format on YouTube. And I post the links to all the stories I read in the description box. All right, into our stories for the day. Story number 1 is coming to us from r/petty revenge. A little background. My son Colton, 29, and the mother, Anna, 28, of his daughter, Crystal, 5, split several years ago, and she has a new boyfriend, David, and a newborn baby boy. My husband, 55 male, and I, 49 female, try very hard to include them in various family plans. Recently, we had all discussed going to a holiday event at the local petting zoo. It was a nighttime event with lights, small sleighs pulled by mini horses, Christmas caroling, and various other entertainment, plus a chuck wagon-style dinner. My husband offered to pay for everyone. A few days before the event, he found VIP tickets to the event at a good price, so he bought them. Kids got in for free. We had planned on all arriving in separate vehicles, so my husband arranged for everyone's tickets to be waiting at the gate. The original plan was to go to the event, then my granddaughter would stay with her dad at night and me during the day until Christmas. Anna calls me 2 hours before the event and tells me she discussed things with David's mom, and his mom wanted it to be just family for the event, and we could take our granddaughter from the 26th to the 1st. She went on to tell me they'd further discuss things and that they didn't want Crystal to get tons of toys. They would only allow clothes, jewelry, and if it was a toy, she wanted American Girl stuff. My granddaughter had asked me for ice skates, a robot dinosaur, and art stuff. She had never mentioned American Girl stuff at all to me or my husband and son. I was pretty pissed off at this point because money had been spent, plans had been made, and waiting till the last minute to change everything just annoys me. You are not wrong. After quick discussion with my husband and my son, we decided the 3 of us would still go to the event. We got there early and told the girl at the ticket booth to please give our other 2 tickets to the next couple with kids to come to the gate, but didn't already have passes. Very nice. Roughly 30 minutes later, Anna calls me screaming about how there were no tickets for them. She thought we'd just give our tickets to them, David's mom and her date. I told her I'll gladly bring Crystal in since she's my family, but y'all said you wanted to be with just your family. She ended up spending twice what we had paid to get in for last-minute general admission, which meant the littlest rides and food would cost extra, while Crystal tagged along with us and enjoyed all the perks while her mom and the rest ended up leaving early because they didn't want to pay another $20 per person for dinner. As she left, she told me that I'm a Grinch and I ruined her Christmas gift for her new mother-in-law. I'm not even remotely sorry other than the fact that my granddaughter got stuck in the crossfire. You shouldn't be sorry. You shouldn't be. I know what she was doing. She was trying to take advantage of you. And I think you knew that too. You know, they decided like you guys had spent the money, like you made these plans and you guys spent all the money for like the best tickets. And because the tickets were getting left at the gate, they thought, oh, we can just go grab the tickets when we get there. And that for one, to let you make the plans, to let you spend the money, to, have you guys thinking that's going to be this awesome night with everybody, and then to have the nerve to say, actually, we're not going to go with you. We changed our mind because we just want to be with family. You guys aren't family enough. Okay. So you did a very generous thing, gave the tickets away to the next couple so they didn't have to pay, and you left the conniving people to have to pay full price for their own tickets. And rightly so. She was trying to cheat you. She was being horrible. And you were completely right. Like, I love the way you clap back and let her know exactly why you did what you did. When you said, I'll bring Crystal in since she's my family, but y'all said you wanted to be with just your family. You can be with just your family and pay extra for it. That bothers me for so many reasons. I think, barring all emergencies and extenuating circumstances, if you make a plan, you should stick to it. Like, this was a plan for fun. The only thing that got in the way was her pride, thinking she could let your generosity be her gift to her new mother-in-law. Absolutely not. I'm glad you put your foot down. It doesn't sound like anyone really acted out or like argued about this in front of Crystal, so I don't really feel like she got stuck in the crossfire. She still got to go with you guys, so that worked out. And I hope she learned a really valuable lesson. You are not a Grinch, you're just not a doormat. Good for you. There is a gold box comment right first thing. It says, why would she think you'd be buying her tickets for an activity you organized and she disinvited you to at the last minute? That's bold. I understand why she's not with your son anymore. Good for you. Bonus to the family who benefited from your act of goodness donating the 2 extra tickets. And then a reply to that one says, bonus to the family who benefited from your act of goodness, right? Like the opposite of the Grinch. Exactly. Completely the opposite of the Grinch. You did everything right. She just didn't like that you made sure everyone knew what she was doing. Good for you. All right, off to a strong start. Story number 2 is coming to us from r/petty revenge, last day in the office. I, 29 male, worked at a small company as a salesman for the better part of 4 years. As my sales went up, my income went down due to restructuring, etc. Meanwhile, my boss and I would butt heads pretty frequently, but somehow not enough to get fired. On my last day, they took my accounts away in the morning, but wanted me to stay until 3 for an exit interview. I'd already cleaned out my desk and legitimately had nothing to do but wait. There ended up being a box and a half of business cards left over, about 700, that I hid everywhere. I didn't leave stacks here or there. I hid every individual one. My boss's shades were up, so I tucked close to 50 in between the shutters. When the shades close, it will rain. I put them under people's see-through rubber mats for their chairs. I tucked them into unused rolls of paper towels, so they fell one by one when in the dispenser. We also had a small warehouse with hundreds of boxes. Every single open box ended up with my business card in them. They are hidden throughout the first aid kit, behind pieces of art on the wall, lining the conference room windows, you name it. They will be finding my cards for years to come. TLDR, quit my job, spent final 6 hours of employment hiding 700 of my business cards through the office and warehouse on my last day. I love it. It's so harmless. If they took all your accounts, what did they think you were going to do for 6 hours? I probably wouldn't have stayed for the 6 hours. Like, that's craziness. To like be like, okay, we're taking away all your access. You are done in the morning, but you still have to be here at 3 o'clock for an exit interview. Did they pay you for that day? Because if not, you should have left. But this is awesome. And hopefully as they start to find these and they realize why you did this, they'll rethink if this is like their regular plan for people's last days to make them wait around for 6 hours. They'll hopefully rethink that. But I love this because it's harmless and it's so funny. Like, there will be people at the company who did like you who will just randomly find your business card and they will get a chuckle every time. I love it. First comment says, you are a card-carrying member of the Petty Revenge Society. And their reply comment says, not anymore. They hid them all. Wonderful. That's a good one. Okay, story number 3 is coming to us from r/petty revenge. I'll pay you Tuesday for a dress I want to wear today. I had a coworker named Lori. She was super loud and obnoxious and was into everyone's business. After the first week of working with her, I requested a new desk far away from her. Although my request was granted and I got to move, Lori came by to chat at least twice a day. One time after she visited me, one of the women in a neighboring cubicle took me aside. She informed me that Lori is a scammer and any money she's borrowed, she hasn't paid back. She even had small claims judgment against her for when one of our coworkers sued her for not repaying a loan. She owed both the Avon and Pampered Chef reps money. She had an endless supply of new employees to scam because our unit trained new people before they went to their permanent unit. Her other scam would be she'd tell her people that her friend is making box lunches to raise money and convinces people to buy lunch. Come the day of the lunch, she only brought half the lunches and then she leaves for the day. One afternoon, I'm looking online for a wedding guest dress. Lori walks by and oohs and ahs over the dresses. She asks for the website, and then about an hour later, she comes back to me with an idea. She points out that shipping is free if you spend $99 or more. She tells me about her brilliant idea of her saving me money by buying a dress for myself and one she picks out for herself. I pay for both dresses, and she said after it's delivered, she will repay me. Payday is just around the corner. In reality, I didn't order either dress. After about 2 weeks, I tell her the dresses will arrive at my house by the weekend and I will need my money by then. She tried to stall me and also tried to give me reasons why she needed the dress ASAP and why she had to pay me later. She kept trying to negotiate with me. She backed down for a while, but she decided to try me one last time. I told her I sent both dresses back because I found one I liked better at the mall. After all that, she left me alone. She kept to herself and then was made to transfer out due to her poor performance. I mean, I feel like you probably wouldn't have fell for this anyway. I'm honestly shocked so many people loaned her money or fell for all of her different scams. That's impressive, really, that she could scam that many people. I mean, I'm glad this other coworker did tell you what she had planned so you could really formulate your plan of how to get her. And I think you did it really well. Good job. Story number 4 is coming to us from r/petty revenge, speakerphone madness. I just discovered this sub, thought I would share. 2 years ago, I was with a coworker traveling out west. Midday, we stopped at a Denny's for lunch, and the restaurant was empty, middle of nowhere, Utah. The waitress let us pick our seats, and we sat in a corner by a window. She took our drink orders, and within a minute, a man came into the empty restaurant, took the booth next to us, and started screaming into his phone, which was on speaker. Of course it was. We sat there getting angrier with every passing second. Listened to this guy argue with his wife about ticket cost on Southwest Airlines, whether his mother needing a wheelchair assistance would allow them to all board early, long-term parking costs. His wife has her brother join the call, and they all start screaming at each other in their native dialect. My friend and I are giving this guy glares, and he just glares back and keeps shouting. So I got up, took the booth on the other side of the man, with his booth now between my coworker and I. I like where this is going. And I called my coworker. He immediately understood, put me on speaker, I put him on speaker, and we start shouting at each other. I don't care what time it is, I'm having French toast. I hope they do the thing where they give you the extra milkshake in the middle cup. The waitress comes to our table, immediately understands what's going on. The random guy and his family are all agitated, and we can hear him yelling louder into his phone, one hand over an ear. I'm shouting my order through the phone, and my coworker is relaying it to the waitress 6 feet away. She goes along with it. Ask your friend how he takes his eggs. How do you want your eggs? Scrambled! This goes on for 2 solid minutes until the guy stands up, shouts, "You effing assholes!" and storms out. We are laughing. Waitress is laughing. Gave her a giant tip. Ate in peace. My only real petty revenge. That's a good one. I love that one. No one got hurt. They just got annoyed. I love that the waitress immediately went along with it. Loved it. She's like, this guy needs to get out of here too. This was great. No restaurant patrons were really harmed in the making of this revenge. I don't even think that's really revenge. I think that's just instant karma. Don't. He was an asshole first. You were an asshole back. It's fair. I love that one. And the first comment says, what a delight it was to read that. And really, it was. Story number 5 is coming to us from r/petty revenge. You try to calm me, I report you everywhere. I needed a room for 6 weeks in a big German city. I went on Airbnb in September and found a room. The Airbnb description said it had Wi-Fi, a window in the kitchen, and was close to where I'd be working. I got along with the owner, exchanging numbers, and asked whether we could find a solution without Airbnb. We agreed that I would pay directly and avoid Airbnb fees. I think that's a bad idea. On February 11th, I suddenly received a new address for the apartment. When I arrived, I found out he was renting out a student dorm room. This was never mentioned in the description. There was no Wi-Fi, the photos didn't match, and the apartment was very dirty. I needed the room, so I paid him the agreed amount, the same price we had agreed on for the original Airbnb apartment. Immediately, I was confronted with his rules. No guests, and if he found out, I would have to pay. If the apartment was dirty, he would charge me extra. These were presented as threats. Over the following weeks, every time I raised an issue, he threatened me with extra costs and insulted me. Then I started digging and found out he was a subtenant of a subtenant of a subtenant. Wow. He had found the student apartment only 5 days before I moved in and lied to the tenant above him, saying I was a friend. He paid around 400 euros for the whole period while charging me 800 euros. He never mentioned Airbnb. This is a student and openly bragged about running illegal Airbnbs as a side hustle alongside his studies. He is not allowed to do this because his visa does not permit it. Because the insults and threats continued, I reported his Airbnbs to the German Ordnungsamt. Ordnungsamt? I don't speak German. That's as good as it's getting. Or the German Ordnungsamt. I'm sorry. The city has a platform to report illegal Airbnbs. That tells me this is really a big problem in the city. And it was easy since all 6 of his listings were visible on Airbnb's profile. I also reported him to the German finance authorities as they investigate untaxed business activity. Finally, I sent all screenshots to the police under the categories of insult, threats, and blackmail. Also, I know his visa is still 2026, so he'll have fun trying to explain why he wasn't studying. Edit. I am well aware of having used Airbnb and then not stuck to the platform. But just because you don't want to give money to a city-destroying multi-billion company, you deserve to be treated with insults and threats? Edit 2. When being called out for illegally renting out a student room, 1, I could be instantly kicked out since I am not a student. He just insulted me and also said I'm a businessman. So yeah, reporting him to the anonymous tip-off pages for fraudulent business did seem rewarding. Edit 3. He ripped off the dude he was renting from too. They agreed he would pay 2 times $275 for 2 months. He paid $275 and then 1 week before I left, $170. Edit. He threatened me with a lawsuit if I don't take down a post about him in a Telegram group aimed at finding subtenants, where he found my apartment. I warned about him, but in a way that I can't be sued for defamation. Wow. Yeah. Revenge? Yes. Petty? No. Because he needed to get in trouble for this. You were definitely wrong to not go through Airbnb. Like, I feel like the whole purpose of going through Airbnb or Vrbo instead of like Craigslist is for the safety that using those platforms gives you, and the different options that you have for recourse in the event anything goes wrong. So like as soon as you like asked to move the deal off of Airbnb, it should have, if he was really a good renter or a good host, it should have been a red flag for him that you wanted to move off Airbnb, because I feel like using those platforms protects both the host and the tenant. But yeah, everything he did was wrong. And I mean, you might have been in a tight space when he changed the address just a few days earlier. I probably would have maybe got a hotel or something if you could, until you could find another Airbnb for the long-term stay. Just too much of this was sketchy to start with, but I am glad that you reported him everywhere that you could and warned other people about him, because this was a horrible situation. Story number 6 is coming to us from r/petty revenge. Paid the price for making people laugh at my dad's expense. It was my dad's birthday recently. In my speech, I decided to include an anecdote about the day my dad had the talk with my younger brother. I was eavesdropping, so I heard most of it. But the part that stood out to me was my dad telling my brother that his existence was proof that sex can be expensive. So he must keep in mind that condoms are cheap. Okay. It was funny. Yes, it is. I never once would have dreamed of taking that approach, but I like it. It is accurate. It's very accurate. People laughed, and then I added the obligatory wholesome stuff to remind everyone what an awesome person my dad was. My dad approached me afterwards and thanked me for the speech, but then he also promised to get me back for bringing up the sex talk story. I laughed and said something along the lines of, "Empty threats, old man." Oh boy. A few days later, I was driving with my dad, running errands with him and shit, when we stopped at a gas station. The tank was full, but my dad wanted to buy snacks to satisfy his sweet tooth. I said I was going to wait in the car. But then he looked at me like that was the weirdest thing to do in the world, so I put my phone away and entered the gas station with my dad. As soon as we approached the cashier with our stuff, my dad unexpectedly cashed in his threat by asking the cashier to add a box of condoms. Without anyone saying anything, he proudly informed the cashier that he was buying the condoms for his son, and then he pointed at me. I was like, what? I was like, Dad, what the F? The cashier pointed to the variety of condom brands on the shelf behind her and asked my dad to choose. I told the cashier my dad was joking, but my dad interrupted me and said he would never joke about safe sex. For no reason other than to apply more trauma, my dad showed the cashier a photo on his phone of me with my girlfriend before explaining to the cashier that I was still young and inexperienced. So he's doing whatever he can as a parent to make sure that his son didn't allow a fleeting moment of fun to become a lifelong moment of... I actually don't know what he said here because I spoke over him and said I was going to wait in the car, which I did. Moments later, my dad exited the gas station with boxes of condoms in his hands. The 1 or 2 snacks he bought were packed in a bag, but not the boxes of condoms. Oh no, can't have that. People were staring as he approached the car, which I had to open because his hands were full. My dad awkwardly got in the car and said he didn't know what condom brand I preferred, so he just got all of them. All I could do was laugh at how far my father was willing to go to get back at me for something that was apparently worth that level of public humiliation. Your dad is a legend. That, I don't think you can top that one. He said he would get you back, and you didn't believe him, so he had to prove you wrong, and by God, he proved you wrong. Oh my goodness. You will never roast anyone during a speech like that again, because you know what can happen. That's so good. The fact that he thought all this through, and was even willing to spend money to get his point across here. Oh my goodness. This is hilarious. And he so easily convinced you to get out of the car just by looking at you funny. He had this planned. He had to have had this planned before you guys were even out that day. Legend. Revenge legend. I love this. Let's see. And somebody did ask in the comments, the first 2 comments are a Goldbox comment and a Goldbox reply to that comment. They asked, "That's hilarious. How old are you?" And OP did reply and said, "I'm 20. So, when Dad said he's young and inexperienced, I'm sure the cashier, everybody that heard believed him. Whoa, boy. Okay. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is 6 stories for this week's episode of Petty Please. Thank you so much for being here for another episode of the Misty Morrison Podcast, and I will see you next time. Bye.